Welcome to a short video about anger. Volcano, you might know it as Anger Mountain. It's a tool that we can use to look at anger as an emotion, understand it better, and think of ways to manage it positively. My name is Zofia, and I'm with an organization out of Langley, British Columbia called Community Justice Initiatives. I think anger is a really important thing to be talking about right now, especially considering everything that's going on in the world, the fact that there's a lot of uncertainty. I know a lot of people are feeling anxious and uneasy and nervous and angry and frustrated, and I'm feeling a lot of those ways myself, and it's natural and normal that we'd be responding that way to such a big change in our lifestyles across the globe. So I think it's an awesome time to be thinking about anger and going through a brainstorm like this. I hope you join me. If you want to brainstorm along, that's awesome, and if you just want to listen, that works too. So I'm going to start over here at the base of our anger volcano with stage 1, which is called a trigger. And we can think of a trigger as something that pushes our buttons or gets us feeling frustrated or angry. It's that initial feeling of, oh, I'm getting frustrated, this isn't working for me, something that pushes our buttons. So I encourage you to think for yourself, what are some things that tend to push your buttons? What's something that's a trigger for you to get upset or angry? I know for me, if I'm in a conversation with someone and I keep getting interrupted over and over again, that's definitely a trigger, really frustrating for me. I also sometimes talk about this with youth in classrooms, and we start at the bottom and think about what are some things that could happen in your day that would be triggers or frustrations or things that push your buttons. How many times have I said push your buttons already? A lot. So we could think, let's pretend it's the beginning of the day, you're getting ready. What's something that might happen that would get you going? I hear a lot of people saying the way they're woken up. If they're woken up with someone yelling at them to get out of bed, that could be a trigger. You're already feeling frustrated first thing, right off the bat in the morning. As your day goes along, maybe you get to school, you get to work, you get to wherever you're going, you realize you forgot your phone, you forgot your wallet. You forgot something, that's a frustration. That could be another trigger. We're kind of rising up this side of our volcano now. So we have a few of those triggers up on the board: getting yelled at, forgetting something, continuously getting interrupted, whatever it is. Like I said, take a second, brainstorm what some things are that might be triggers for you. We're gonna move on to stage 2 here of anger, which is escalation. And escalation is basically the idea of something getting worse, the situation getting worse, feeling more and more out of control, not being able to kind of keep that anger in check or keep that frustration in check. So what are some things that for you can make a situation worse? You get interrupted, start getting frustrated, and you're trying to take some space and someone keeps coming at you to try and talk about it or fix it or help you. Maybe they have really good intentions, but that could absolutely be something that makes you more frustrated. So I'm gonna add in an arrow here. Escalation, the situation is getting worse. We're getting closer to stage 3 here, which is our crisis point. And before I keep going, I want to say that this distance between 1 and a 3 can sometimes feel really short, especially right now, being maybe cooped up at home with people who know how to push your buttons. This could be a pretty quick journey up when we're having underlying stress or tension or things we're going through. Sometimes our escalation is not a very long period of time. So we're getting close to crisis. Maybe there's one thing that just pushes you over the edge. Maybe someone makes a joke that they thought would be funny, doesn't really land very well on you, you take it seriously and it hurts, and you get really mad. So I'm gonna add in that one last thing that could just send us right up into crisis. All right, so we've got it up here. Someone makes a joke about you. It's that final straw. They thought they were being funny and you've had enough triggers build up, or maybe this one thing pushes you right up into crisis. So we're at stage 3, cue volcano effects. This is where you've really exploded. You're feeling mad, you're seeing red, you're feeling quite out of control of your emotions and your actions, your behavior, and your feelings. So I'm gonna add some lava here in red. And I have 2 questions. First being, what for you does it feel like in your body when you get really mad? Can you feel your face starting to get hot? Does your heartbeat go faster? Do you feel tension in your shoulders? Do you feel that really sticky tension in your chest? What for you does anger feel like in your body? So I've added some of those up here. And I've also got up our second question, what does it look like? What are some of the things we see angry people doing or saying? How do they act? How do you act when you get really angry? So take a moment, pause if you need to, come up with a few things that are what it feels like for you, and then try and think of a couple things that you do when you're really angry. So for example, I see a lot of people yelling when they get really mad. I see people start swearing when they get angry, calling each other names, things maybe they wouldn't say if they were calm, lashing out, hitting something, breaking something, storming out of a room. We see people crying when they get really angry. Try and think of what are some of those behaviors and actions that we see. All right, so I've got a little list up there of things that I tend to see when people get angry, or some of them are things I do when I'm really angry in this crisis point. All right, moving on to number 4, which is cool down. So think for yourself, what are some strategies you have or things that work for you to calm back down after you've been really angry? I know for myself that listening to music really helps. You know, for any big emotions, anger, feeling anxious, feeling stressed, music is a great one. It works well for me. Going for a walk, going for a run, getting some of that tension out of my body. Anger is an emotion that we really feel in our bodies and we hold it in our bodies. So getting it out with movement is a great one. I also like to have space. Something that helps me to cool down is getting myself out of that situation where this one trigger, all these triggers were happening, if I can, and spending some time alone to calm down. I'd also say breathing. It's something that we do all day, hopefully. It's an awesome tool to regulate, to get oxygen back to our brain, and start thinking more clearly. So doing some breath exercises or breathing to calm myself down is another one I like to use. So think of a few for yourself. All right, so I've got some of those up there. Also add that I've made another video with breathing strategies and some things you can do just with your breath to calm down and regulate. So if you're interested in that, go check out that video. So our reflection stage here is really our last stage of our anger volcano. We've calmed down and now we're able to think clearly. There's a line we could draw that goes along with our volcano and it dips down really low when we're at crisis and then levels back out once we hit reflection. And this line is our ability to think clearly, to make good decisions. And when we're in crisis, this is really not our strong suit. Once we've returned to kind of this ground level and we're at reflection, we're back at being able to think more clearly. I'd encourage you to brainstorm what are some feelings you might have when you hit that reflection point where you've calmed down and now you're looking back at this experience of anger. How might you be feeling? So I know for myself, sometimes I feel embarrassed. This isn't always a fun place to be. It doesn't always look great, and so it can be embarrassing to look back and go, oh my gosh, was that me? Did I say that? I didn't really mean that. So embarrassment might be one. I also might feel a bit guilty if I said things I didn't mean. I might feel tired. Anger is an exhausting emotion. What might you need to do to address some of the things that could have happened up here in crisis? So take a moment and brainstorm some of those. So I've added some of those feelings you might experience in reflection down here at the bottom. And that's our anger volcano. So I hope next time you feel a trigger coming up or something frustrating you, you can use some of those cool down strategies that work well for you to avoid escalation and yourself hitting the crisis point. But thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful, and that's all from me.